Now, this is a story all about how my luck got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and let me tell you a little story about how this hunt had me pulling out my hair. So let me tell you the story about my longest shiny hunt I've ever had. This hunt became all-consuming. I was spending almost every waking hour just resetting my Switch over and over again. And if anybody else has shiny hunted on BDSP, you know how painful that is. No opportunity to increase your odds with the shiny charm, and the resets are just agonizing. They take up to a minute. It's awful. Having said all that, nothing was going to stop me from getting my pink white whale. Rather fittingly, with this being my longest hunt ever, its seeds were actually planted far earlier in my life. Funnily enough, the first ever cartridge I owned of Pokemon was a copy of Pokemon Ruby that my aunt bought me for, I want to say, my 4th birthday? Yes, I was 4 around that time. I know that might be scary for some of you. As you can imagine though, when I was 4, I couldn't really read. I didn't understand, I just mashed A, so that meant I never got any further than May telling me to backtrack in order to then progress further than the second town. So I didn't really get to experience it. Therefore, my first games really was around Diamond, Pearl, and then my first games I fully completed were Black and White. However, a decade on from that copy of Ruby I received, they actually remade the games in Generation 6. This time, adding a whole new national dex, as well as getting new Mega Evolutions. It was so exciting. Despite not actually playing through Gen 3, Hoenn had a soft spot in my heart after having watched so much of the Advanced series, part of the anime growing up, as well as absolutely loving some of the movies like Jirachi Wishmaker that I had on DVD and rinsed over and over and over again. At this point, I was still a kid. Like many 10-year-olds, I was really easily entertained. I was still blessed with a superpower that we lose as we get older. Especially in the context of gaming, I feel like it's almost become a poison chalice nowadays, where there's constantly got to be a goal or an achievement you're chasing, or some kind of progression or currency, or you lose the allure of doing something just cuz. Hey Timmy, why are you eating dirt over there? Just cuz. Hey Jerry, why are you swinging your sister around in circles? She's gonna get hurt. I don't know, just cuz. Hi Johnny, why are you hanging off the sofa upside down? Just cuz. So, like I say, I played the ever-living shit out of these games. Just cuz. So there I was, sitting in Pacifilog Town, chucking my rod into the water over and over again. Why? Just because? You see, it turned out what I didn't realise is that I had accidentally stumbled into my first ever shiny hunt. Back in these games, chain fishing was a method of increasing your shiny odds with every subsequent successful reel, where you actually manage to reel in a Pokemon and it doesn't peter out. You actually get an increased shiny odds. So, I was accidentally shiny hunting, and that led to me getting my first ever wild shiny Pokemon, a pink shiny Whalmer. So with my first ever wild shiny, being a pink whale, it only seemed right to get the box art legendary, whose shiny happens to also be a shiny pink whale. Unfortunately, I believe that they were shiny locked, so I wasn't able to get my hands on a shiny Kyogre. I had to settle for Kyogre Light. Whilst I might not be the biggest fan of pink shinies, you know, just like anyone, I'm a sucker for black shinies. So with Primal Kyogre being a black shiny, God knows I really wanted it as a kid, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be. That's where we skip ahead yet another decade to the modern day, with the reveal of Pokemon Legends ZA and the return of Mega Evolutions, and perhaps the opportunity to get my hands on a big black whale. Funnily enough, it was in the next set of remakes, BDSP, where I'd be able to shiny hunt them in Ramanas Park. This is a new area they added to the remakes. Basically, you can encounter every legendary Pokemon up to and including Generation 4. In order to do so though, you need to purchase these summoning slates from the front desk with a currency called Mysterious Shards you can find in the underground as a rare spawn. Like I say, you find them in the underground, but you need to complete the digging minigame. So at this point, I was yearning for the mines, and once I found my orb, I was able to start my hunt. For anyone unfamiliar with the soft reset process, literally all you do is close the game over and over again, reopening and re-encountering the same Pokemon over and over again. It can be kind of mind-numbing, I can't lie, but this does mean you don't have to pay too much attention to it. I did it on the side while I was doing pretty much everything. I was resetting while I was editing, while I ate breakfast, on the bike to the gym, whilst I was on my break at work. Yes, even on my break at work. Multiple weeks passed and I was racking up encounters like nobody's business. There I was, sat on my sofa at my parents', when after a grand total of 6,968, so nearly perfect, we finally found the big fat Barbie. But notice how I don't sound too enthusiastic. Okay, so my strategy was just the basic tried and trusted Breloom. False swipe, spore it, toss balls at it until it's caught. That's it.
Timbals.
Or is it? Despite having 45 PP available to use, being asleep for a further 30 or so turns, that's 75 turns in total, being generous, let's say I only threw 40 balls. Asleep, 1 HP, 15% chance to catch. Aqua Ring means it wasn't always HP, so let's just average around the 10% catch rate. This thing had over 4 expected catch value, and it still insisted on making me watch as it struggled and killed itself after 7,000 encounters. This was absolutely shattering. I was downtrodden and dejected.
The fairy prince's castle has defeated me.
So, how did I respond to failing a 7,000 encounter shiny? I went harder. Of course I did. Because, funnily enough, the next weekend, there was actually a community event being held by an influencer known as Blue Vector. He was hosting DA weekend, where basically everyone would whip out their switches and go back to Sword and Shield, because in the Crown Tundra you could go into these caves and shiny hunt for legendaries there, including even up to some of the more recent generations. Because through Dynamax adventures, if you use the shiny charm, up to a 1 in 100 chance of being shiny. That's huge. We'll save my journey there another time. About 2,000 encounters later, DA weekend arrives. No luck. Did I pause the hunt in order to get on with these Dynamax adventures? Nah. Instead, I actually stole my sister's Switch so I could carry on the soft reset hunt whilst I raided to my heart's content. And boy, was I glad I did. Whilst I was in the depth of some dungeons, I once again found my half-white whale. This time, I wasn't letting it out of my sight. And look who showed up. Okay, so this is gonna be scary. I don't know what to do. Please help. Oh, I really need a Wii as well. After approximately 20 balls, I finally caught it. Okay, right, back to time balls. We got this, boys. We got this. Yes! Redemption! I named it after the orca from one of my favourite childhood movies. And there we have it. After a grand total of 10,100 encounters, it brought my longest ever shiny hunt to a close after being prophesized for decades. Now, hopefully, I would be able to bring my pink whale into Legends ZA and turn it into a giant black monster.